This is the iPhone 16 Pro, and this is the Asus Zenfone 11 Ultra, and I want to share my thoughts and opinions of using both of these devices. And you may be asking, why are you comparing the 16 Pro Max to the Zenfone 11 Ultra? Well, here's the thing. The 16 Pro is my main iPhone, and the 16 Pro Max is what my wife uses, and the only difference is the screen size and the battery life. So I will reference the 16 Pro Max when it comes down to like the battery life and display, but other than that, there's really no other huge difference that kind of plays out between the 16 Pro and Pro Max. But starting things off with design, I'll tell you this, in the hand, the 16 Pro feels so much more premium. I don't know if it's the titanium build to it, or if it's just like the feel of the Zenfone 11 Ultra. I know it's a glass back as well as a glass front and aluminum frame, but just feels a little plasticky, if you know what I mean. Now, it does have a little bit more of uniqueness with like the Zenfone logo right here. This camera just protrudes way too much. I know the iPhone does too, but it just kind of looks cleaner. It's a cleaner layout than the Zenfone 11 Ultra. I mean, no, that's just my opinion. It also does have a headphone jack, which is a huge plus, and does have faster charging right here on the bottom. I believe it's at 65 watts of fast charging, so that's a good plus. And we're going to get the battery department in a little bit. Now, when we come to the front of each display, they're both very good displays. The iPhone 16 Pro is a 6.3 inch with very slim bezels, a 120 hertz ProMotion rate display, max 2000 nits of peak brightness, and then we do have IP68 dust and water resistance. Speakers do get pretty loud, and like I said, it has titanium frame, which is grade 5. When we come to the Zenfone 11 Ultra, we're getting a 6.78 inch Full HD LTPO AMOLED display, so it's 120 hertz, but in gaming mode, there are some apps that utilize 144 hertz. So just to keep that in mind, gets to max peak brightness of 2500 nits. And the display quality on both of them has been awesome. So if you're looking for a larger display, you want to go with the Zenfone 11 Ultra. If you want something more compact, very slim and premium, you're going to go with the iPhone 16. So design, I'm going to kind of leave it up to you. It does come down to a preference. There are some things the Zenfone 11 Ultra has that the iPhone doesn't, and vice versa. iPhone has the action button, which kind of I still use as my mute switch. It does have the camera control button, which I currently have disabled. But the Zenfone 11 Ultra, while it doesn't have those, it still has the headphone jack. And, surprisingly, there are people that use the headphone jack. So if you really are in need of a headphone jack, then yeah, Zenfone 11 Ultra is probably going to be that device for you. In fact, I think Asus right now that I know of is the only, and looking to my left, you can't see it on screen, but looking to my left where I see my collection of phones is the only phone brand right now that has a headphone jack. So I mean, I hope they continue to keep it with their Zenfone 12 Ultra or whatever it is. We'll see. And when it comes to performance, this one also, I kind of want to leave it down to the user because it's either iOS or Android, which one you would prefer. Now, each one, again, has their own pluses and minuses. There's some pluses to having Android and plus to having iOS. So iOS 18, Apple A18 Pro chipset has been phenomenal. Day-to-day use has been great. No hiccups, no lags, no issues whatsoever. I know some users reported iOS 18 bugs. I haven't come across any so far, so I'm super happy to say that. But I know some that have come across some issues, so I guess it does vary from user to user. With the Zenfone 11 Ultra, Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, bringing 12 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of storage. Again, also buttery smooth. I've noticed no issues, no bugs. Both devices have been tackling everything I've thrown at ease. And what I do on both is pretty much essentially the same. Watching YouTube videos, sending emails, calling, texting, using it for Twitter, for Threads, for WhatsApp, and it's been great on both of them. So that's a huge plus. And actually the number one thing I'm using it for both are watching YouTube videos and making sure I stay up to date with my subscription list and kind of watching my favorite YouTubers and kind of supporting their videos as well. And I can happily report neither of them have had any issues in both the software department and just a daily use. Now, the one downside I have with Asus is 2 years of software updates. We're holding onto our phones much longer. I think we should have more than 2 years. Whereas Apple doesn't publicly announce how long, but I mean, if iPhone XS is getting iOS 18, I believe that's like 6 years. It came out in 2018. That's 6 years of software updates. So this may get 5-6 years of software updates too. The one thing I do like with Asus Zenfone 11 Ultra is when you're starting up the phone, you have an option to choose between Asus Zen UI or like the stock Android UI. And it's not even Pixel UI. It's just even more stripped down and more stock Android UI. So you get to choose between the two, and I really do appreciate that. And by the way, if you guys are enjoying the wallpaper pack or the wallpaper on both of these, it's my latest wallpaper pack, Illusions 2.0. Links will be in the description down below. Definitely goes a long way in helping the channel out a lot. Things get a little bit different, and here's where I'm going to start to kind of choose which one is better than the other. In the camera department, 16 Pro and Zenfone 11 Ultra, each of them have a triple camera setup, but the results on the 16 Pro are much better and it's more consistent both in photos and videos. And the one thing I love about the iPhone 16 Pro is the new 48 megapixel ultra-wide camera. Phenomenal, but its main 48 megapixel fusion camera is great. Its telephoto lens with 5x optical zoom is awesome. With the Zenfone 11 Ultra, we're getting that 50 megapixel wide with gimbal OIS, a 32 megapixel telephoto with OIS and 3x optical zoom, and then a 13 megapixel ultra wide. And Zenfone 11 Ultra, it's, the photo quality is all right. It's good. It's not ultra quality by no means. I don't think it even stacks up against the S24 Ultra, the Pixel 9 Pro XL. And I think to get that price tag at $899, I'll be talking about that in a moment too, you kind of have to cut some corners. I think camera move was one of them, but consistency is top notch with the iPhone 16 Pro. When it comes to the battery life, I'll tell you this, the Zenfone 11 Ultra definitely does perform much better than the 16 Pro. However, the 16 Pro Max, it still does a little bit better in terms of endurance. It lasts a little bit longer, and it does have that faster charging at 65 watts. So compared to the 16 Pro and Pro Max, it lasts longer in just battery endurance, day-to-day use, as well as it's being faster in wire charging, 65 watts of fast charging. So the 16 Pro, however, it does max at a peak charging speed of 37 watts. The whole rumor of 45 watts, I guess that's not true. There have been tests done at peaks at 37. It's faster than the 27, I believe, that was with last year's. So that's a good thing, but I hope they make it faster next year. It also does have 25 watts of MagSafe charging, so wireless, and I appreciate that. But it doesn't have a reverse wireless charging, something that the Zenfone 11 Ultra does have. And here's what I have to say. The Zenfone 11 Ultra, I believe, was meant and still is meant for someone who uses their phone very heavily, as a heavy user like myself. It's easily hitting 8 hours plus of screen on time. And yes, it performs better than the 16 Pro and Pro Max. So I'm going to give the battery department to the Zenfone 11 Ultra. And the availability, both of them start, well, not both of them, but they're both available, and 16 Pro starts at $999, 16 Pro Max $1199. Zenfone 11 Ultra starts at $899. So there is a price difference, $100 price difference between the two, and starting storage for the 16 Pro 128 gigs versus 256 gigs with the Zenfone 11 Ultra. So all in all, I mean, which one would I choose? I'm going to choose the iPhone, and here is why. The Zenfone 11 Ultra is great, but I don't think it holds that Ultra moniker. Like, it really doesn't hold up to it. First of all, it's not getting the amount of software updates that I would usually prefer. While it has the better battery in terms of just endurance and the charging speeds, obviously the software experience has to be something, and if it's only going to be 2 years of software support, that's like a kind of a deal breaker for me at this point. Whereas the iPhone, first of all, it has much better software support, and iOS 18 has been great. It also has consistent cameras. It has great battery life. Yes, it's not as great, but it still has great battery life, and I don't need to worry about charging it throughout the day, so that's a huge plus. And the design just feels much more premium. I'm personally going to go with the iPhone 16 Pro. That does not mean the Zenfone 11 Ultra is a bad phone. It's a great phone, but I feel like they just missed the mark by kind of advertising exactly who it's for. It's kind of like a stripped down version of the ROG Phone 8. So I hope next year they either bring a successor to the Zenfone 10, like that compact flagship, or they truly make an Ultra, make it more premium build quality with better cameras, keep that great battery life, longer software support. I really do hope they bring something like that to the tables. But I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, definitely be sure to superman that like button, comment down below, and best of all, share this video because it really does help out the channel out a lot. It will help push my content out to more people. That's been it for me, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode.